Sensory Solutions is our social enterprise, and the way that we have focused the business, if you like, when we first qualified in herbal medicine and decided we wanted to form a company, we knew nothing about business, and we learnt that as a business can be a charity, it can be a various different kinds of bodies, and a social enterprise is all about profits for purpose. So all of the profits from our apprenticeships, from the book, from everything we do gets ploughed back into our mission of creating these community plant spaces.
So this talk this evening that you've all come to hear about is about how plants and astrology are connected together. And the astrology is one system that we draw on to help understand the qualities and the medicines of plants. It's a way of organising it in your mind so that just by knowing how a plant connects with a planet, you can understand some of its medicine, some of its qualities, some of the way it interacts with the body, the spirit, and the emotions.
So this talk is, as we said, it's a bit of a whistle-stop tour, trying to give you a flavour of the book and its mix of practical recipes and folklore and our poems and also rituals, because we wanted to just have something that really blended together all of our loves.
And what we use to understand plants is something that we call sensory herbalism. And in sensory herbalism, there's three main components to getting to know the plants. First of all, there's observation. So actually meeting a plant, just like you'd meet a person, just like you meet an individual, how the plant looks to you, how it makes you feel, what grows around it, how it actually looks growing, how it smells, how it tastes, what those things can give us about the indications of the plant medicine. It's essentially learning the language of the plant through using our sensory organs. And then there's also the intuition, which is formed over all of our lives' experience, possibly our ancestral experience. So it's informed, but it's something that we feel, is a knowing, and we have that with all plants. And plants have a fundamental constitution that will talk to all of us on a certain level, but how we receive that information will differ depending on who we are as an individual and what our life's experiences have been.
And you can see that illustrated well with something like the chili plant. You know, some of us love that heat of the chili and can't get enough because it releases endorphins and gets us feeling hot. But other people are quite sensitive and don't want to go anywhere near a chili. And that's a very severe example, but all plants we can either have an attraction to or be repulsed by.
Just like people. And then there's the interpretation of the information that we glean. So anyone can have a lovely day sitting with a plant in the middle of a meadow all day, having a nice experience. But if you want to use that information for something useful, you've got to interpret the experiences that you have. So the feelings that you have, the senses that you use, the tastes. So interpreting that information gives us proper grounded foundation that we can then go and use this to help support other people with their health and spiritual journey. So there's observation, intuition and interpretation, and they're the foundations of our teachings for how to connect with herbs.
And that plant that's in your hand right now, maybe have a little smell. Does anybody not know this plant? A familiar friend to us all, the rosemary.
So its name, Rose marinus, its Latin, is actually rose from the dew, and marinus, the sea. It's the dew of the sea. But its qualities, when you smell it, when you taste it, when you imbibe it, are pushy, are strong, it's circulatory.
And the sun is also a great protective element and has been used to protect you. You know, gives us light. It actually gives us food. All
Life,
of these.
vital force, flow. It's how energy flows within the body, and also how energy flows out into the field around us. It's radiant, it's vibrant, and so is the rosemary.
And Nicholas Culpeper was a fantastic physician who made medicine available to the layman. He wrote his Complete Herbal, that was around the 1600s as well, and was a champion of the apothecaries. And he classified all of the plants, and rosemary is a plant of the sun. And what we've written in our book, one of the rituals that we've written about, is this ability of rosemary to afford us protection. And so whenever you need a little extra support or protection, you can carry a sprig of rosemary. We grow the rosemary outside our gardens, and the sprigs that you have come from Hertfordshire and from Dorset today. And we're suggesting to people that you just need to leave your home and pick a sprig of rosemary and wear it behind your ear or in your hair or in your lapel. And this encourages clear thoughts. And the protection it affords us is multi-level. The smell, those aromatic oils that are coming off the rosemary that you are holding now, have got antibacterial, antiviral and antifungal properties, which is all proven by science now.
So this idea that the sun is about a sense of self, and the rosemary is really when you need the sense of protection to really embody and be yourself. So we always say if you're going to an interview you're worried about, a social event you're worried about, a talk, anything that you're worried about. You don't even have to be worried, you just might want that bit of extra protection and support. And it's a really powerful amulet to carry on you that can be done really simply, even just by brushing past it.
And rosemary for memory. Rosemary actually increases the cerebral blood flow, and those blood vessels around our brain get nourished and nurtured from the rosemary and aids our memories.
So Sunday, the day of the sun, and then moving on to Monday, the moon day. The moon, which controls the flow of the tides of the water on the planet, and also controls the flow of water within the body. And water to us very much represents the emotions, so it's also about the flow of emotions.
And the moon has this aspect of the imagination, what comes at the night when we dream and dare to imagine. And part of our work with Sensory Herbalism is an idea that we are reviving modern folklore about the plants. So when we sit with a plant, when we work with our students with the plants, we ask people to characterise, to really think about who this plant would be if they were a human or an animal. And we're going to read you what we've written about the poppy. The poppy is a herb of the moon. We can pass this plate around so you can have a look at the poppy seed heads, with her pale translucent petals and her cooling nature. And this is a character. Madam Poppy is as old as time. Her papery, delicate skin looks translucent, and you can visibly see her blue veins just underneath. She never wears perfume, but always smells of baked goods. Her oven is full of seed-filled treats. When you're in her presence, there's a wonderful calm and a stillness that she emanates. This relaxation permeates all that spend time with her. She's an incredible healer of pain. Queues of folk often line up to receive treatments from her hands. Madam Poppy is a singer. She's famed for her gentle, sleep-inducing lullabies, and often sings the multitude of her children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren to sleep.
And we know that poppy provides opium and also morphine, which is used so commonly in allopathic medicine. And the moon's medicine is cooling to the sun's heat and pushiness.
Moving to Tuesday, So Mars is the planet that rules Tuesdays. Mars with action, masculinity and fire, the red planet.
Assertive and direct, also sometimes volatile. It's about that penetration and moving through, but also the flip side of that, often the relaxation that comes afterwards. So it's got this two sides to it.
And we have the horseradish with the Mars. The horseradish root grows prolifically close to the canals and waterways locally. Can you read the first?
And the plants of Mars are often seen as irritant, and the horseradish is used as an irritant on the skin to draw blood to the area, often in the heroic medicine of days before, where you created blisters, in fact, to actually draw blood to it.
They believed that arthritic conditions could be let. So by creating a blister, it would let any of the toxicity out. We have moved on since then.
Yes, we mix it with comfrey and with heather to soften the blow, but it's still got that rubefacient skin, red enhancing blood quality where it brings everything to the surface. Its heat is primarily created from the mustard oils in the root. When the cell walls become damaged through chopping, grating or chewing, an enzyme is activated and mustard oil is released, protecting the plant against animals that might eat it. The mustard oil is released is so caustic to the eyes and mucous membranes of the nose that we always wear protective glasses or swimming goggles while processing a horseradish harvest.
We do.
We do. To the point, and this says a lot about our children, when Karen's son Harry was quite young, we were in the kitchen, both of us, wearing masks, like full underwater masks, chopping horseradish.
One of them was pink UV because it was from the 80s.
So we were standing there chopping, and Harry just walked in from school and was like, "Hi," went upstairs. We were just like, oh, he doesn't even bat an eyelid. Anyway, that's how we found out you need goggles. When you chew a small amount, once the heat has subsided, the taste is distinctly bitter. This promotes digestion by stimulating the liver and pancreas. So here we get one of the tastes, the bitter taste, which if you get that in a herb, you know it's going to have some sort of digestive action because it stimulates bile, it stimulates hydrochloric acid production, it gets the digestive system ready to eat. So anything that's doing that is great for a sluggish digestive system. But again, here we have a very heating herb, so a system that's already very hot probably wouldn't go well with the horseradish, which is where the planetary associations really come into helping to choose which plant to use. By improving gastric secretions, the horseradish can give instant relief from indigestion and griping pains. Improving peristaltic action of the intestines, it also helps to relieve flatulence. Its gnarly prolific roots are also used to ease the aches and pains of damp weather. So again, using that heat of the Mars to counteract any conditions that thrive in damp, which is often those rheumatic, arthritic complaints. People will feel that a lot more in the damp weather.
So on Wednesday, we have the planet Mercury, and we'll pass around some plates. Help yourself to a seed and have a look at the seed heads.
So Mercury is really where the magic happens. It's all that communication, it's quick-wittedness.
And Mercury is an androgynous planet.
And it really rules over the nervous system and communication, and it promotes clarity in intellect. And we associate the fennel as this classic mercurial plant. It's got these feathery leaves and it grows right up in the sky. The seed heads, you can see from those beautiful seed heads. You're welcome to take some seeds and chew them. It looks up at the sky and it has this real sense of when you take it, it clears everything and leaves the way for inspiration.
It's opening, and that energy of Mercury is very much opening and connected. And Hildegard von Bingen, the famous Germanic nun and herbalist, spoke of fennel in a very Germanic way. She said that fennel forces the spirits into the correct balance of joy. And we've always thought of fennel as a really uplifting antidepressive herb. You don't see it written about like that very much in modern herbal medicine. It's always associated as a carminative and much more with the digestive system. But our bodies are so intermingled. We're not a digestive system and a nervous system and a urinary system. We're a whole entity. And to be fully uplifted, we need a healthy functioning bowel. But we also need our nerves to be very, very secure. And in all of the seeds, there's these omega fatty acids. So many of us will be eating things like pumpkin seeds and sesame seeds and chia and hemp and whatever's the fashion right now, or oily fish, if you're interested in health. But the fennel seeds and all of the seeds, can you taste there's an oiliness to them? And can you taste the sweetness and the complexity of all the flavours?
And in the book we have a table of tastes where any tastes that you experience can be linked with certain constituents and therefore certain actions within herbs. So we've got some of the herbs listed, but as you become more familiar with tasting, you recognise things within different herbs that then denote how they might be acting in the body. So sweet things like licorice, like the fennel, like caraway seeds, that sweet flavour often links to blood sugar regulation within the body. So you can see, you can start to build up a picture of this language as you become more familiar with the tastes of the herbs. Thursday and Jupiter. This is our expansive planet. It's where growth, where flushing out, creating space for movement and change. And it's very much linked with the liver and the kidneys. And the liver, we produce bile. There's a lot of excretion of toxicity from the blood that happens within the liver, and also the kidneys as well, flushing out. So we've got dandelion linked.
There we've put the book, but in the book, one of the things we've written about the dandelion is how to dig the roots, to roast them, and to make your own dandelion root coffee. Because what we see, we've been in practice as medical herbalists for many years, and one of the primary ailments of our society is digestive problems linked very much with the liver. And more often than not, people are drinking multiple cups of coffee. Coffee's become the norm. Coffee shops are there's many coffee shops in our little village. There's more coffee shops and hairdressers than anything else, I think. But having an alternative to coffee and having something that tastes rich but also is actually healthy for your liver is an incredible tool for people.
And it's something that we're really passionate about, is incorporating herbs into everyday use. So being able to get them into you through your food, through your diet, going out picking leaves for your salad, creating dandelion coffee. And what dandelion has got is this, the root has got this special affinity to the liver. It helps the flow and production of bile. So it's really got that supportive liver action. Again, it's got blood sugar regulation as well, which links into the digestive system. And the leaf is very much a kidney remedy. Pissenlit, its Latin name, its French name, wet the bed, piss the bed. And it was said that if you put someone's finger in a cup of dandelion leaf tea, that they'll wet the bed. I mean, who's tried that? I don't know. But
But we know that the leaf, if we drink or take the leaf, it's a volumetric diuretic. It makes you pass plenty of liquid.
But it's potassium sparing, so unlike a lot of our medical pharmaceutical diuretics that leach potassium with them, the dandelion is so potassium rich that it creates this balance within the body.
And you can see the Jupiter-esque nature in the seeds. I mean, I was brought up, as I'm sure many of us were, when we saw a dandelion seed head, we blew it and made a wish, and those wind-dispersed seeds go off and travel all over. Dandelion is everywhere throughout our globe, and it's needed right now. We are in need of a cleanse.
And the symbol of Jupiter was actually used by physicians of old before they wrote out a prescription. And it's still used in modern allopathic medicine. The symbol, it's written now as RX, but it's actually from the old symbol for Jupiter. So it's a remnant of these ancient, more multi-god ideas about medicine that still exists within our modern practices today. So we like that. And we still use it as herbalists before you write a prescription out, RX1, RX2. It's how you differentiate prescription writing.
On Friday, Venus, the goddess, rules there with her sensuality and sexuality and fertility gifts.
And the idea that someone that's of Venus, a Venetian person, really knows how to soothe and support within this sensuality, and it rules the reproductive system.
We hold rose as the herb, as the plant, and our native dog rose that grows intertwined with the hawthorn and the sloe in our hedgerows is an incredible giving and loving character, and we've written a poem about her.
Oh, we just love her. She's one of our favourites. Rosa Heart's Petal. I am Rosa Heart's Petal, all aspects of time, midwife, deathwife, and all that go betwixt, great-great-grandmother, nurturer, delicately fragrant, smooth-skinned, protective, taking no nonsense, intolerant of impatience, bearer of deep, fertile secrecy, sanctuary, holder of chaotic grief, seed-filled nourishment, pure loving abundance, attract you to hypnotic imprisonment, sharp lessons await. Open your eyes and smell the roses. I am Rosa Heart's Petal.
And we've brought rose hips. We've got lots of seeds on the table, but if any of you do want to take them to grow, please help yourself. Moving on to our last day.
Saturn, Saturday, the manifestation planet, where there's a real sense of lessons through boundaries, through understanding time, through the authoritative figure that holds us. And within that, we see the bones, but also the mucous membranes and the skin, that real boundary that we have within our bodies. And this beautiful herb.
This is plantain. This is Plantago lanceolata. And plantain is an ancient plant. We can pass these around for you to have a look at the simplicity of the leaf structures of the plantain.
So the more simple the leaf structure, it often indicates how ancient it is.
And we know that the plantain has survived a couple of ice ages and has been around for time immemorial, really. The plantain grows low to the ground, and if you want to, you can start to take apart that leaf and you might be able to see the elasticity inside the veins. It has this gift of protection specifically to the mucous membranes and the skin. And in our book we've written about how you can take these leaves and make a very simple plantain oil and then turn that into a plantain leaf balm. So if you're bitten or you've got scratches on your skin, you can protect yourself. It's incredibly soothing and healing for bites and stings. So this was a whistle-stop tour through the days of the week and a few of the plants. We will invite you to ask us some questions now.
So just to conclude with that the astrology is something that you can use as part of a bigger picture to understand the plant medicine and the body. And every planet represents different aspects of the herbs, of the organs within the body, of qualities. And it really helps to trigger the imagination through the mythology of each of the planets and why they were named, and how the qualities of the planets are represented in aspects that we have here on Earth, and that real link between the celestial bodies and the Earth here, and how we can bring all that story into the plants, into our medicine, and really enjoy a sense of creativity within medicine, that it doesn't all have to be really linear, and that you can explore and really unleash your own creativity within it, whilst grounding it back to that interpretation and giving yourself a useful framework that you can actually use.
It's been the most exciting journey for us, having students come every year, and we set them a task at the beginning of the year. They pick a card which has a plant on it, and at the end of the year they come and embody that plant. They create costume, they create their own little bit of theatre, and it is amazing watching the human spirit being allowed to be creative. That's my favourite bit, that's our favourite bit. Watching people just be childish, be play, not worry about being judged for pretending to be plantain or rose.
And stepping over that fear about unleashing the creativity, or being scared even to draw a plant, and really working through that as the year goes on, because working with plants is about our own personal health journeys as well, and exploring and understanding ourselves. And every one of those plants becomes a friend as you get to know it. So you're never alone again walking down even a city street with a tiny daisy popping through the cracks.
Because they're alive, conscious, sentient beings, and we are so blessed to be part of a conference network now where there are scientists doing these experiments on plants, proving that they can adapt, that they can learn, that they can communicate, and people are starting to wake up and realise that. And that's the whole mission of Sensory Solutions. We would like everyone to just go out. If you've learned anything tonight, go and tell everyone. Tell everyone. Because it's so important at this time that people stop looking at nature as wallpaper. Because it isn't just pretty wallpaper, we're part of it, we are nature.
But there's also, within the book, we talk about heather. So there's some crazy statistic about how much of of the UK is actually covered in heathland, and heather is a herb that's gone completely out of fashion as the rise of a lot of Chinese herbs and Ayurvedic herbs has come over into modern day herbalism, and we're very much about things that grow prolifically, that are very useful medicine, and bringing them back into the consciousness. And heather is one of those that can only exist in such crazy conditions because it grows in perfect synergy with a specific kind of mycorrhiza that allows it to absorb the nutrients, the very few nutrients that exist in those environments, to be able to grow. So this symbiotic relationship that happens within nature as well is something that's really interesting to study. But heather is a herb that everyone should go out and get to know, because it grows en masse, it's beautiful, and it's a really useful herb of Venus.
Brilliant.